Hey guys, it's Maya and I'm here with a video tutorial on how I make my cloud earring designs, which are some of my most popular earrings on my Etsy, so some people have asked about them and here I am. Also, my goal for this summer and YouTube in general is to make my videos shorter so I can put them out more frequently. So this video will only be on this design, so it should probably be like 10 minutes, 15 at max. So yeah, that's just the plan. That's why my videos are getting shorter and hopefully my uploads will be getting more frequent. Here are the earrings. I make them in both silver and gold. If you just clicked on this video because you like the earrings but you aren't actually planning on making them, you can always support me on my Etsy and buy them there. Or if you go to my college, you can buy them at one of the various craft fairs I sell at. So either way, here is the tutorial. I hope you guys like it and let's just get started. As with any video, I'm going to start with the materials that you'll need to make these earrings. First are 3 types of pliers. I have cutters, round nose pliers, and flat nose pliers. The cutters obviously for cutting wire, and the other 2 are for shaping and manipulating the wire. The cutters you can replace with nail clippers or scissors, and then the round nose pliers, in my opinion, are the more important one of the 2. Next, because we're making earrings, you'll need some sort of earring hook. These are the silver ones that I use for my silver cloud dangles. You can also make these technically if you have hypoallergenic wire. It's just a bit harder and I'm not going to show you that in this video, but do let me know if you want me to show you guys how to make jump rings, earring hooks, and other findings out of wire, because I know sometimes it can be annoying to have to buy those separately. You'll also need wire. For this design, I used 22 gauge wire to make all the dangling part of the clouds and wrap the cloud a little bit. And then I use my 18 gauge wire to create the frame of the cloud because that is the most sturdy wire that I work with. Next, you'll need some beads to create the raindrops of the cloud. Here is one of my numerous bead boxes. I have way too many beads, please send help. And for this design, I use the blue quartz chips. They're dyed. Quartz, I don't think, comes in blue naturally. But yeah, I just buy these from Michael's or Joann's, and they're really good for raindrops. But honestly, any blue beads work. You'll also need some sort of placeholder bead. For this design, I use the small clear glass beads. I believe they're called seed beads for my design, and those basically just stack in between the cloud and the raindrop. Here I am just setting aside the exact number of beads I'll need for a single pair of cloud earrings. For the raindrop beads, I'll need exactly 6 because there are 3 raindrops on each cloud. And then for the spacer beads, I suppose, or the seed beads, you will need exactly 12, I believe, because there are 6 on each cloud. And basically the structure of the cloud is that there are 3 strands of raindrops, and one strand has 1 seed bead, the second strand has 3 seed beads, and then the last strand has 2 seed beads. So yeah, that's 6 total for one cloud, and then 12 total for the pair. Alright, let's get started making the frame of the cloud, which is honestly probably the most fun part. Starting with your round nose pliers and the 18 gauge wire, you're going to create an open loop, which is the beginning of a swirl. So don't close the loop, but just start making a loop and then just keep on going until you form a swirl. To be very honest, the swirl sometimes takes a bit of practice. I didn't really get it until I basically made a whole bunch of these cloud earrings. So if you want, you can practice on some softer wire or some easier to manipulate wire before you actually try making the real thing. After you make the swirl about the size that I show you on screen, you're going to take your round nose pliers and create a 90-degree bend away from the swirl. And now with the thicker part of your round nose pliers, you're going to start creating the little loops at the bottom of the cloud. Then with the smaller part of your round nose pliers, you're going to create another 90-degree bend. And then with the thicker part of your pliers, again, you're going to make another loop. Now, these loops are actually supposed to be more parallel to each other, which I'm fixing now, but you'll find that if you try and make them parallel before forming the second loop, it doesn't really work because you don't have enough space in between the 2 loops to fit the wide part of your round nose pliers. So just move the second loop into place after you form it. And now you're going to make another 90-degree bend and do the same thing with the wide part of your round nose pliers. And then, again, fix the location of the third loop with your round nose pliers afterwards. And you should have something that looks like this. Now we're going to start going around to the other side of the cloud. So with your round nose pliers, make a little loop at the edge of your third loop, and then keep on bending it just with your finger. And now you have the side of your cloud. Pinch the wire again and form another 90-degree bend. And now with your round nose pliers, you're going to create another loop, but you're actually going to form it all the way, but then you're going to kind of stop before making another 90-degree bend. And now you're going to pinch in the very middle of the loop with your round nose pliers and create a little loop that is used to attach the cloud to the earring hook. Now pinch the little loop with your round nose pliers and keep on bending the wire so that you finish the other half of the larger loop. From here, I just like to use my flat nose pliers to make sure that the loop is completely parallel to the rest of the cloud, just so that it isn't at an angle when you attach it to the earring hook. And now with your round nose pliers, you're going to make another 90-degree bend, and then, fiddle a little bit with your hands, and then with the wider part of the round nose pliers, make your final loop. Notice that throughout this entire thing, I'm often using my hands to manipulate the wire rather than the pliers, and that is because whenever you use pliers, it's going to leave a mark on the wire, so I try using them as little as possible. Now you're going to use your wire cutters to cut the wire where it meets the other end of the cloud approximately, and with that extra wire, you're going to make the final swirl. To make that final swirl, you're going to start with your round nose pliers and basically do what you did at the very beginning. Start with a loop that you never really close, and then just keep on pushing it and turning it until you create a spiral. Again, manipulating the wire so that the swirl turns out smooth does take a bit of practice, so I would recommend trying it out a little bit before you actually start on the cloud. And as you can see, even this swirl isn't exactly perfect, so this is me trying to bend it around with the flat nose pliers and my hands. And then, of course, if you have a little bit of excess wire in your swirl, you can just trim it off with your cutters. And here I am going in a second time with my round nose pliers to make the spiral a bit more circular instead of oblong. I think that's the word. And now I'm just pinching the second half of the spiral with my flat nose pliers, just again to make it more circular. And here's the final cloud shape. I really like it. It took me a little bit to come up with a design that I haven't seen yet of cloud earrings, because I know those are a pretty popular thing to make into earrings. Now I will show you how to make the attachments to the cloud. Using the 22 gauge wire that I showed you earlier, we're going to start stringing the beads onto the wire and attaching them together. Start by taking one of your small glass seed beads and stringing it onto the wire, then creating a tiny loop with your round nose pliers at the exposed end of the wire. Now with your wire cutters, you can cut the 22 gauge wire about 1 centimeter beyond the actual bead. This extra wire will be used to create a tiny loop on the other end of the bead with your round nose pliers again. And of course, if you discover midway through making the loop that you left a bit too much wire, you can always just snip it off with your cutters. And here we have one segment of the bead all completed. From here, you're just going to repeat this process for all of the glass seed beads that you'll need for this project. Once you're done stringing up all the beads, you're going to start connecting them using the loops. With your flat nose pliers, bend the loop slightly out of place just so that you can slip another loop through. And then once you're done with that, you can close up the loop again with your flat nose pliers. As I've mentioned before, for each cloud, you'll need strands of 1, 2, and 3 beads respectively, and then the order that they'll go in is 1, 3, 2. But you'll see that later when we assemble the cloud. Once you're done stringing all the glass seed beads onto wire, we're going to start with our raindrop beads. First, you're going to string the raindrop bead onto the 22 gauge wire, as we did before, and then create a really tiny loop, as small as possible, with your round nose pliers. This loop, we're going to bend at a 90-degree angle so that it's perpendicular to the rest of the wire, and this is going to serve as the stopper at the bottom of the bead to stop the bead from falling off. Now move the bead to the very end until it's pressed against the stopper, and then with your cutters, cut about, again, a centimeter away from the bead. Now with your round nose pliers, you can do the same thing where you bend it at a slight angle and then create the loop. Once you've finished with the loop, you can take your flat nose pliers to separate the loop slightly and attach it to the strand of seed beads. Since the raindrop beads that I use usually vary in size, I like to use the largest one to attach to the longest strand of seed beads, and then smaller raindrop beads to attach to the other 2 strands. And now you're just going to continue this process until you end up with 3 completed strands of beads. Now that you're done with all these strands, you're going to start stringing them onto the cloud. This part takes a little bit of wire manipulation, so just bear with me. The order that the strands go in is 2, 3, and then 1. So the strand with 2 seed beads goes at the very end, and then 3 seed beads, and then 1 seed bead, closest to the swirls. After you string on your first strand of beads, to make sure that it doesn't move from the loop it's assigned to, you're going to use your flat nose pliers and pinch the 2 loops at the bottom of the cloud together so that the 22 gauge wire loop can't make its way past it. This part is honestly just a lot of fiddling and adjusting the cloud. There's really no technique to it, so just keep on pinching until you get to that point. And as you continue stringing strands of beads onto the cloud, just continue that process until all 3 are on. Throughout this process, the shape of the cloud might actually change a lot because you're basically shortening the base of the cloud, so you might have to adjust the rest of the cloud a little bit to make sure that it still looks balanced. Now we're going to use just a little bit of 22 gauge wire, you can just use scraps, to close up the entire cloud and attach the 2 swirls. Start by threading the 22 gauge wire into the first swirl and then bending it so that it pops out the other swirl. Once you've completed the first entire loop around both swirls, you can use your pliers to just keep on bending the wire around the swirls until you wrap it maybe 3 to 4 times is what I usually do. This part also requires a little bit of fiddling and manipulation on your part. You could use thinner wire than 22 gauge wire if you want it to be slightly easier, but the trade-off with that is that it's less sturdy, and if there's too much pressure trying to force the cloud apart, it will mess up the 28 gauge wire wrapping, so just keep that in mind as you choose what type of wire you want to use to wrap it. And then, of course, once you're done, you can use your wire cutters to snip off the excess and keep it around as scrap wire. Use your flat nose pliers to pinch down the very end of the wire that you just snipped off, and then your entire cloud is almost complete. And And now all you have to do is attach the cloud to the earring hook. Move the loop of the earring hook slightly just so that you can slip the loop at the top of the cloud through. And once you do that, you can close up the loop and your cloud is complete. Alrighty, I've cut out the rest of the part of this video where I make the second cloud because that is just redundant and unnecessary, but I just wanted to add that I usually make my clouds mirrored so that they're symmetrical when you wear them, but you can also choose to make them both facing the same way, if that makes sense. Like the swirls will be both pointing left or right. It's just up to personal preference. Whenever I sell them though, I do make them mirrored. And here's the finished product. Hey guys, so Mai here, just really quick dropping in because I do want to put my face in more and more videos because, I don't know, I like talking to you guys in person, or as in person as I can get. Yes, I am in a different place, so the voiceover might have sounded a bit different, but yeah, I'm visiting a friend this week, which is very exciting. Yeah, I'm excited. Anyways, that's basically the video. I just wanted to pop in here, say thank you. I definitely lied. This video is not going to be less than 15 minutes long. I'm not exactly sure how long it is yet because I haven't finished editing, but oops, what can I say? Again, if you guys do end up making these earrings, do send them to me. I really like seeing what you guys create. I think that's basically it. I'm going to go now to a cute cafe and edit, perhaps. Alrighty. Thank you guys for watching and see you guys next time. Bye.